Any commissioner would like to lead in the Pledge of Allegiance or start the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure.
Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then we'll be doing a quick roll call.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner House?
here.
Commissioner Banda?
Here.
Commissioner Cortez?
Here.
Commissioner Avellana?
All right, so if you wish to make a general public comment or comment on a specific agenda item, you're encouraged to attend the Public Arts Commission meeting in person. Emailed public comments received have been distributed to the commission and will be entered into the record. Public comments generally are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. I may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda schedule. We are now open for public comments on items that are not on the agenda and that are in the City of Salinas subject matter jurisdiction. Comments on agenda and items should be held until the items are reached. Okay. Go around to the agenda. Seeing that there's none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. And these are the minutes. We've received minutes from August 21st, 2023, and asked for any comments from commissioners. Any members of the public wish to make comments on consent items? Is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 21st, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
And then call for roll.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner House?
Yes.
Commissioner Banda?
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez?
Yes.
Commissioner Avellana?
Yes.
Motion passed.
So we're going to take this. So there'll be a presentation for the Yosal mural project.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to introduce Amy Berkman, and she's going to talk a little bit about a project that she's working with Yosal on. I'm going to give you a presentation this evening.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I've never used this thing before, so should I just click? Just want to make sure we're good on there. Okay, perfect. Well, I know some of you in the room, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Berkman. I'm a live art entertainer and also a muralist. I also wrote something, so if you don't mind, I'm just reading a little background on who I am and what I'm doing for the Yosal Mural Project. Let's see, first of all, I was born and raised in Salinas Valley. And since I was a young girl, I've always been sensitive to the hardships and struggles of others. And art was something also that was really important in my life. I took a big interest in it at a young age. It was my therapy and my escape. Eventually, I realized I wanted to do art to help those in need, but wasn't sure how to do that exactly. So my original thought was volunteering at children's hospitals and foster homes, doing art with kids. Then in 2010, I co-founded a program called Educate Through Art and traveled to Mali, West Africa, where I painted health-related educational murals. And upon my return, I was still working my 9-to-5 job and started doing live art on the side to raise money for charities. But I eventually in 2013, was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer, which I went through treatment, everything's good now, but that led me to doing what I love full time. So I quit my day job and I started pursuing this dream of mine. And since then I've raised over $2 million for charities through art and painting murals. So, I believe art is a powerful way to help heal, inspire change, spread important messages, and make a difference in our community. When we tell stories, we spark connection, and this is the foundation of the project that I'm here to present to you today. So the Central Coast Creative Corps program is a new grant opportunity funded by the California Arts Council. The program's goal is to invest in artists, to partner with nonprofits, government agencies, and tribal governments to creatively address challenges in civic engagement, public health, climate resilience, and social justice across the Central Coast. In June 2023, 23 community-based organizations were selected to receive the grant to partner with an artist on a 12-month a creative engagement to further community impact. So Youth Orchestra Salinas was one of the well-deserved recipients. They selected me as their artist partner, and naturally I was thrilled to receive this opportunity. The focus of this project is to create outreach and engagement initiatives to advance social justice. So to do this, my vision is to highlight the stories of these students and how programs like YOSAL can really make a positive impact in our youth. So let's see. So I believe sharing stories is such a powerful way to get a message across to our communities and inspire others. The project is focused on elevating the stories of YOSAL students and how creating opportunities ultimately makes our community a stronger, more beautiful place to live. To do that, my plan is to create eye-catching, vibrant art installations and murals of YOSAL students around the city. So these are a couple examples, and these are actual students of YOSAL. So Angel and Ivan and Diego are just a couple of students that I've already interviewed. They had amazing stories to share. So this is just kind of a rough mock-up of what I would be doing. In each mural, the murals are going to include a QR code that will lead the public to a documentary that I'm filming. The documentary, which will be available in English and Spanish, will elevate the stories of students like Angel, Ivan, and Diego and highlight the important role community-based art organizations play to help address crime, mental health, and provide protective factors for our youth. The goal is not only to encourage more families to enroll their kids in programs like YOSAL, but also to inspire community members to support and create more organizations like these. I believe creating opportunity is essential for bringing social change. So speaking of creating opportunities, as I was conducting some of these interviews, I came to the realization that I could use this very project to create opportunities for youth in Salinas. So I'm happy to share that in addition to the CCC grant, I also applied for a grant and was awarded a separate grant through my nonprofit, Good Art Project. So with this additional funding, I'm launching a youth artist mentorship program, and our plan is to select 2 to 3 Salinas-based up-and-coming artists and 1 filmmaker to assist me with this project. And each artist we mentor is going to receive a $1,000 stipend. In regards to the locations and selecting the locations for the art installations and murals, it was important to me to choose locations where we can get as many eyes on it as possible in areas that will reach diverse communities. So here are the locations we've identified so far. United Way, Monterey County. We've met with the marketing and communications manager, and we have approval to do a mural on their building at the 200 block of Main Street in Salinas. Natividad, we've met with the president and CEO of the Natividad Foundation, Jennifer Williams, and we have her approval to do a mural there as well. We're currently waiting on the board sign off, and we can finalize the location, but the original thought is to do it in the emergency room where nearly 60,000 families visit each year. Let's see, the Northridge Mall is another location. We've met with their marketing manager, Celia Garcia, and have approval to do a mural in a high-traffic area of the mall. We've also been invited to speak about this project at their 50th birthday celebration in June. And so I'll be sharing with the guests what this project is about and hopefully bringing some YOSAL students with us to demonstrate their talents as well. The Vineyard Church of Salinas, we've met with the church leaders, Renee and Dave Dove, and we have their approval to do art installations out front, and this is where YOSAL is currently located. We have a meeting with, regarding the public library, so we'll be meeting with Kristen and her team and do a site visit. And our original thought is, hopefully to do it at the John Steinbeck Library or something like that. Finally, we want to do one additional large mural. This will be the collaborative piece with the Salinas-based artists. Since YOSAL is in Alisal, we ideally would like to team up and do this as a part of the Alisal Vibrancy Plan. But, since it's a fully funded project, we're just looking for a location currently, so we don't have that yet, but definitely open to suggestions. But in closing, I just want to share that this project has already been so eye-opening for me, and I've been so inspired hearing all the students' stories and the teachers, and even some of the community leaders, including Mr. Jose Ariola and Councilmember Steve McShane we've interviewed. I'd also like to highlight other organizations similar to YOSAL, like Artists, Inc. and the Urban Arts Collaborative. So I know Mr. Cortez and Mr. Gonzalez, I know you guys are involved with those organizations. I feel like you'd be great people to interview too, to maybe talk about, the importance of these programs in our communities. So if you or anybody else interested in here would like to be interviewed, just let me know. But we do plan to execute this project by August 2024 per the terms of the grant. And I just want to say with the Public Art Commission, I value your feedback and just to ensure a successful project. So I just wanted to open up to any questions or comments you guys have about this project.
If I can,
Yes.
This is my first day on the commission, but I have to say I've had the opportunity to work with the YOSAL organization before, and everything you're doing it looks beautiful. I know how important music is in their lives and how it can transform them. Mm-hmm. And to see how you're incorporating their personal stories into this, but that you've seen so much that you've applied for your own grant for it, I think speaks a lot about you as a person and an artist. And so as far as I'm concerned, this looks absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from any of the other commissioners?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for your presentation, and I really like the project. It sounds very ambitious. Many murals in different sites. So this project it's from the California Arts Council, and you were the artist selected from YOSAL. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my question is around. I think I have several questions. One of them is about, so the project has already been visioned, and but there's additional funding that you guys are looking for, correct?
We're not looking for any additional funding, nope.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already fully funded.
Okay.
I just to be clear, I also, through my nonprofit too, there was grants that Arts for MC, they put it online, so I thought I would just get, it was a approximately $5,000, but I felt that I would just, use this to, as a way to include more community members of Salinas to help me with this project, but also pay and really provide an opportunity for up-and-coming artists.
Oh, yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
So that's where I was going. So, so you need from us to support, in what ways, like supporting the sites where you're going to be doing the murals, and perhaps helping you disseminate the information so that way you can have interviewers from different organizations or local artists?
Yes, yeah, especially, Mr. Cortez and Mr. Gonzalez, I feel like you guys would be great. I mean, anybody here really would be great to talk to if you guys are interested in doing an interview. That would be helpful. And I think, just getting any type of feedback. I want to make sure, because I know it's important for Salinas to involve the community, and basically any feedback I can get from you guys to make sure this goes, successful and smooth.
Yeah. My other question is, have you have those places that you mentioned for the murals have already been finalized? Are they good to go for the murals? Or?
Yeah, so that's our next steps. Verbally, we've gotten confirmation on most of them. We still have the meeting with the library. So next steps are to get their written consent or whatever we need from them, and then we're going to finalize the mock-ups and the exact dimensions and submit that to get the permits.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions?
I have one. So the only question I have, just out of curiosity, are your murals going to be pre-approved, or your site's approved and then you're just going to paint where you're going to paint? Like your mock-up, is that like final?
Oh, is it a final mock-up?
Yeah.
Basically, if I understand the question right, I'm still conducting a couple more interviews. So we have a few students that we want to include in the murals, like Diego, Ivan, and Angel. And then once we finalize the other students, then I will do the mock-ups for those as well. But then I don't know if I'm missing one of your questions.
So like the Hijos del Sol's mural, that has like a long process, and they're going through city approval and public vote, and is there going to go through that kind of process, or your site is confirmed and you're just going to paint your mural?
Yeah.
Without any really public opinion.
Oh, for the public opinion, I see what you're saying. So I guess that's kind of, I guess I want to understand if I need, because there's going to be multiple murals, and again, they're going to be of the kids, and it's specifically to lead them into the documentary, but then there's going to be the collaborative mural. And I was thinking of different ways where we can involve the community even more. And so even with the collaborative pieces, I was thinking maybe it would be nice to have the community vote, so I can see working with the team of artists, maybe doing a couple different mock-ups and having the community vote, potentially at the mall when I do the presentation. If we can get it in time, there's a gala event for Yosal. So there's ways we can get the community involved, even maybe through Arts from C, if they can help us promote it as well. But if you think that would be... my one thought was, you're looking at maybe 6 murals, and that doesn't happen, so to speak, without someone speaking up. If
I could, maybe, this project will be subject to site plan review and city permits. So they will have to go through an approval process through the permit center, like other murals are required to do.
Yeah.
I was going to submit it all together. We also spoke with Oscar. I'm trying to recall his last name.
Oscar Resendez with Community Development.
Yeah, and he was giving us advice too on how we should submit everything. But we were going to submit it all once we got the approvals from the multiple locations, we're going to submit it as one project. And get permits that way. And then the mall, from what I understand, it's going to be inside the mall, so I don't know if we'll need a permit for that. Is that correct? From what I understand, that we won't need a permit for that.
I believe he's kind of asking like if there's going to be a community approval, like presenting it to the community and getting some type of vote? Like if the community kind of, is that?
You know, yeah, it's interesting because it's a different kind of mural because the murals themselves are being used as a way to lead people to a documentary. So I almost want them to have that experience. But the collaborative piece, I can definitely see involving the community because it's going to be layered with, you know, it's going to definitely include stuff about Yosal, but, you know, social justice and maybe elements of Salinas and, you know, so I can see a couple different mock-ups and having the community be involved in that way. What are your thoughts on that?
It seems like it's an outreach kind of project, like outreach / kind of a promotion to get more people to visit Yosal or join the program, which is a great program and they do great work. But it's kind of more what it seems like and not really, for me, I mean, it doesn't seem like a community thing. It just seems like Yosal, and I see how the stories are included, but I think that's kind of, I guess that's why commissioners asking about public approval or like getting people's votes. And that's something that we always encourage, like get the community to kind of see what they're going to be putting up and see how they feel about it, just get some consensus. And also because it's 6 murals, that like you said, that doesn't happen too much and too often.
Yeah, I understand that and appreciate that. And just to be clear, the documentary too, even though obviously Yosal is it's just a really good example of what they do and how they have changed these kids' lives. And honestly, the stories I've already heard from some of the teachers and the students. And but I don't want to just highlight. I'm also going to be mentioning other programs, you know, like Artists Inc. and other programs in Salinas that are doing good work. So
another question is,
Sure.
Have you reached out to Artists Inc. or any of these organizations?
No, but that is basically our next step. So the first thing we did, we're almost done with all the interviews with the kids, and then we've been reaching out for the different locations like Natividad and the library and the mall, and then but that is our next step, is basically to reach out to these other organizations in Salinas.
Yeah, there's a good amount of arts organizations that are really helping change the community and provide arts for different areas in the community, from the east side to the south side and the north side. And it's always good to just reach out, introduce yourself, and say, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I always encourage that.
Yes, and we did do a presentation also at the winter concert with Yosal, and again, the mall will be doing a presentation, and hopefully we get a lot of community members involved in that, and you know, kind of seeing what we're doing, and and then basically reaching out to other organizations in Salinas and.
I have one more question.
Sure.
As far as up and coming artists, how will they be included in the project? As far as like, what would be their responsibilities or duties?
So the first plan, you know, we want to put that out there in the public and reach out to the different organizations, but also schools, and even encourage community members to maybe nominate an artist that they know. But once we select the couple artists to help us, it's kind of a mentorship program too. But I want us to all collaborate and meet and talk about the mural design, and maybe even have a few options that the community can vote on, but they will help me design and paint these murals, and then I'll give them guidance too. So it might, depending on what kind of students we're getting, it might be the first mural that they've ever painted. So I'm going to be guiding them and showing them tips and tricks and stuff like that, and really give them, you know, a good opportunity and experience with painting murals.
Yeah, I think that's great. The more we can provide professional pathways is important. And I also kind of want to encourage to not just put them as assistants, because a lot of times that can happen where they're just kind of helping, but
Right.
getting them really incorporated in the design and the element.
100%.
And acting more as just like a guide, you know, like the lines on the road, letting them kind of drive to an
Yes.
extent. I think I encourage that.
I agree with you 100%. And honestly, I feel like the reason why I'm doing art is because of a teacher who believed in me and gave us opportunities in high school. He took top students, took us to art classes, and, so I believe in that 100%. I definitely want them not to just fill in, some background. I want them to help me design and really learn the whole process. And even talk about why we're doing this and the importance of using art as a way for good, basically.
Yeah, it's always great when we could provide those type of opportunities as far as mentorship and really setting that up, because 6 murals is a lot of murals in Salinas to get okayed and pass through and to even have funding. And I think some of these opportunities are big opportunities. I would call them generational opportunities because it doesn't happen that often. And the more we can get Salinas artists to be involved as much as possible, like you said, up and coming, it really helps so other youngsters and youth can see themselves reflected in this art, and it gives them a shining glimmer of hope that they don't have to leave Salinas and go to some other place to try to become artists, that they can also be artists here
Right.
and be employed and make a living.
Yeah, that's a good point, yep.
Any more comments or questions?
You got a quick question?
Yes.
Hey, how you
Hi,
doing?
good, how are you?
Good. I was wondering, you've done murals before,
Oh, yeah.
I suppose, right?
Yep. I
Have-
just did one in Sand City recently. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was gonna ask about that, if you did any murals locally, but.
Yeah, Sand
So
City's
you
the
just
most
did
recent
Sand City.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
And anything else locally in the area that
Let's see
people
here.
might know of?
I have ones that are up and coming, but not, I'm doing one for the SPCA in Monterey.
Okay.
But the ones I've done, it's honestly been, a lot of them have been even out of the country,
Right.
Thailand and West Africa. I did multiple murals there. What I've been focused on mainly has been raising money for charity, so that's been my focus, my main focus the last 10 years. And even though I've done murals here and there, obviously this opportunity was perfectly aligned with what I believe in, and I love kids, and it's just, it's a perfect way to create opportunities for youth, but also do art to kind of inspire the community to support organizations like YOSAL. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen your work before.
Oh, yeah?
You do the live painting pieces.
Oh,
a lot,
yeah.
I believe, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Quick question though. So what's your process about selecting your up-and-coming artists? Do you have any specific,
Qualifications for them, or like what am I looking for?
Right, or are you doing like some kind of open call to schools or?
Open call, we wanted to reach out to schools,
Okay.
again, get Arts from C to maybe do a post on that, also reach out to local arts organizations, and then encourage people to nominate an artist they may know. And then once we get those applications and nominations, really just looking for, not only, the skills or maybe the background that they have, but someone that's, that can really benefit from this opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you only looking for a student artist or?
It doesn't, they don't necessarily have to be in high school or anything like that. It could just be an up-and-coming artist that maybe doesn't have the experience, or could, can benefit from the funds, or, that's something that they're maybe looking to do in their future.
And as far as selection, would it just be you selecting this artist to collaborate with? or-
That is something I haven't really thought a lot about. I think initially that was my thought, was I'd select, but I also, I have a manager that I work closely with, and we've worked together for 5 years, so usually we make decisions together, but I can also see including YOSAL in that decision too, if they wanted to. But also, maybe I'd be open to, you just bringing this up, I can even see maybe, again, reaching out to the different
Exactly, yeah.
art organizations and get their input, because they know these students probably better than I do, so.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Probably working with the local art organizations here and
Yeah,
find a choice of selective participants to be involved with.
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, yeah.
Even the directory with the, what was it called? The creative.
Oh,
Creative Corners?
Creative, right.
The artist directory.
I'm sure you're part of that too, right?
I'm not sure, I don't know.
Local art directory.
It's a Creative Core Artist.
Oh, yeah.
Corners.
Yes, I am. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, that's also a nice way to,
Fine.
for
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
prospects and stuff like that. That has some experience and, so,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
okay. Cool,
Just
thank you.
going off of that, I was going to say one thing that I think all commissioners have always brought up is how can we make these selections equitable and accessible to everybody? Because sometimes the process of picking the artists can be just as important as everything else, and we always want to bring the opportunity to be accessible to all the people in Salinas.
100%.
From folk artists to professional artists to artists who are just learning. It's giving an
Yes.
opportunity to everybody. I had one more. I guess it's a comment, and I don't know if this is possible, but you said that there was going to be 6 murals, and I was just wondering if there's a possibility, if all the 6 are just going to be kind of. I know you're focusing on YoSal students, but I was wondering if there's a possibility to make one of the murals to kind of maybe showcase a little bit more of Salinas as a community in whole. Maybe it's I really don't know. I mean, that would really be up to you. But from what I saw, it seemed like a lot of the pictures were just kind of, it's the students and it's great. I mean, having the students there and showcasing their stories, but maybe giving one that's kind of more universal to the whole community and doesn't really focus just on the students who are musicians, maybe focusing on the impact or something else, so it just doesn't seem like too much outreach. We love that it's a part of it, but then it kind of, I guess it might feel a little bit more like advertisement.
Okay. Yeah.
And just thinking about how we can incorporate a little bit more of the community, at least for one, if it's possible.
Actually, I feel like the collaborative piece could definitely be that, and that's kind of what I was envisioning for it too. I'm really pretty open to the bigger piece, but yeah, I definitely want to incorporate parts of Salinas in there, and the theme of this, the reason why this grant was awarded too, is the focus is about advancing social justice too. So having that theme within the mural as well.
Any more questions or comments?
I got one more question.
Yeah.
As far as the 6 murals and collaborating with 2 or 3 up-and-coming artists, right? Are you only doing the same styles for the 6 murals, or are you willing to incorporate different styles with different artists in
I know
the murals?
my vision for just the students. I want it to be uniform, so people are like, wait, I've seen these around, and then they're starting to, I want people to go, oh, there's a QR code, what is this about? And with the documentary, basically, my vision for that is each student, you're gonna click on the QR code, it's gonna go into their individual story. And honestly, I feel like that's, for me personally, that's what's impacted me the most, when you connect with an individual story, and you're like, wow, this student, lost his mom, had this happen to him, and has been bullied in school, and now he's going to, YoSal, he's learning how to do music, and this is a safe place for him to go. So hearing some individual story, that's kind of my plan with the murals. You go directly into their story, and it's almost like, it's like a mini documentary that leads into the main documentary, but you're gonna hear their story, and then to learn more, go here.
Oh yeah,
And then-
definitely. QR codes.
Yeah, so that's why my vision for just I think of it as one project, just multiple locations to get as many eyes on it as possible. So people who visit, who might go to Natividad or the library or the mall, you're gonna get a variety of community members with their eyes on this. And then they're like, what is this about? And so they're starting to see this theme, and then that leads into the documentary. So that's the whole, I think for the individuals, I do like the idea of having kind of like a similar look and theme, but, but maybe there's parts of the mural where, if the students who are working with maybe they do have ideas, you can kind of see a little bit of their touch in it as well, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you going to be presenting your documentary to Salinas?
So one of the things that we want to do at the end of I say the year, but really it's going to be in August. We would like to have an event around it. We were going to reach out to some of the local theaters and see if they'd be willing to show it and maybe do an event, potentially, ideally bring a couple of students out maybe to, again, demonstrate their skills and then talk about what this project's about and then them actually get to see the documentary. It's probably going to be like a 30-minute documentary. It's not going to be too long.
Okay.
Yeah. So that just to kind of like a release or what do you call it, a premiere party or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
How about like besides that, like that could be viewed publicly?
After that?
Yeah.
It would mostly, right now, I mean, some people have encouraged me to maybe submit it to, that's one thing I wanted to look into, if Salinas had some film festival. I don't know, is that a thing that happens here?
Right. There is
Okay.
A popular podcaster, I believe, Masa 831. He does indie movie screenings at the
Okay.
Exo Public Houses. And so he's pretty involved with film and,
Cool. Yeah.
And they do show there like once a week, I believe. So
Okay.
yeah, if you could reach out with him or collaborate with him, he could probably show you some of the local viewing
Yeah. What's his name again?
opportunities. Masa 831.
Okay, Masa
Yeah.
831. Okay.
I think that's like his
Like Masa.
social media handle.
Social media. Shout out.
Okay. I think I can remember that. MASA, Masa?
Yes.
Like,
if not,
okay.
you could contact us and we could, provide you the
Okay.
information.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. But that was my vision for that, for the documentary, is maybe submit it with a film festival. We'll see.
Sounds good.
That would be ideal.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I do understand your project, but your project has several layers. One of them is the documentary, correct? Like There's a documentary where people are telling the stories, and then there's the visual arts, which are the murals. And Josal is most known for classic and ensemble music, right? It's like,
And mariachi too. They have
Yeah.
mariachi now too.
So it's mostly music. It's not known for visual arts.
Right.
Right. So how? I don't doubt that it will be a very successful project, but I want to see those two connections where how the stories of the participants are gonna be put in murals, and then maybe the credibility of the organization, coming out as visual arts, because that's not their main medium. And not to be critical, but I think
It's okay. No,
I hope you
I don't
take
mind.
this as all constructive. I believe in art. I grew up in Salinas. I'm from Salinas, and I grew up in a very nurturing community of artists. But just trying to connect these pieces with the murals. So the murals are seen as a series, right? So they can go through different sites and they can go and access those stories. And how another way that I was thinking that maybe you can engage people is by having an online virtual site where they can go and collaborate, or they can go and see where these stories are going to be happening. So maybe you can find artists around Natividad Creek Park, at the Cluster Park, where there's a lot of artists that hang out there doing skating, or you can go to the public library Cesar Chavez to find more people. And just reaching out to different locations, so that way you can consider artists that are residing in that immediate neighborhood that can be the most involved. So that way there's a lot of more community involvement, and I think it perhaps can cover some of the other aspects of the where the place is of these stories, where the people that are contributing to that. And then there is a Watsonville Film Festival.
Okay.
Consuelo, that's the director, and she's very open to films to be submitted, and she will look at them.
Amazing. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
I was just going to go off of what Mr. Gonzalez was talking about. It's great to have art in the community, and we're all always about art and how it can be brought, especially when there's always a bit lack of resources, and it's very scarce to get money to put up murals. And just the connection between the music and the visual arts. I also kind of try to kind of put it all together. And that's why I kind of said it seems like a great outreach strategy, but just finding the connection.
The connection, yeah. I mean, for me personally, and again, the focus is going to be more on these students, but even, you know, I'm in the process of editing the documentary now, and I have kind of two paths that I want to take, and I'm kind of going with my gut on both. But it's interesting because even though this is about YOSAL, I'm also going to be mentioning, I mean, I'm going over statistics on why programs, not even music programs, but art programs, you know, music in the arts, basically, why it's so beneficial for our communities. So even though YOSAL is the main theme, I am going to be speaking in the documentary about all these, you know, I'm talking to, again, Mr. Ediola, Steve McShane, like they talk about the improvements that the community has seen because of the investments they've made into the community. And a lot of that has to do with art programs. So, and then me personally as an artist, I think one, it's just visually, it's just a way to kind of grab someone's attention. So rather than just put a flyer or a billboard up, having art is like, oh, what's this about? It's just kind of eye-catching to get someone's attention and using that as a way to lead them to this documentary. And then the documentary, they're like, wow, these are kids that are in Salinas and look what they're doing. And like, I mean, one of the kids that we are doing a story on is going to Juilliard now. He went to YOSAL, now he's going to Juilliard. I mean, what an incredible example. And so it can just inspire the community, like, wow, that's right. So music, art really does impact our community. So that's kind of how I'm connecting it in the documentary. But it's just a visually, like even in the documentary, you're going to see kind of a time lapse of the mural being created. And I'm trying to leave myself out of the documentary because I don't want to be a focus at all. I want it to be about the students in Salinas. And but you'll still see the artwork getting created, and then you might hear their music, and then it blends into the actual kid, and you see them playing that, and it's like, oh, that's who this is this actual kid from Salinas. So it's just more of a visually interesting thing. I think that's the way I'm connecting it too. But yeah, it's really about art programs in Salinas. YOSAL is just one of the examples, one of the main examples, basically.
Well, that's great. It also reminds me of what the LA Philharmonic did a while back, many years ago, when they posted a bunch of murals all over LA with like pictures of their conductors and their musicians. And like I said, you know, we love art in Salinas. It's a beautiful thing. And incorporating the community as much as possible, it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think if there's no more questions, we'll move on or comments.
Okay. I appreciate your feedback and time, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next will be election of commission vice chair. Do we have any nominations from commissioners?
And just to clarify, this is to fill Taryn Eisman-Gunter's. She was our past vice chair, and so we're looking at a vice chair for the balance of this year. So it's about 6 months, so 2 more meetings within this cycle.
Any nominations?
I don't have any nominations, but I feel that that you can nominate yourself if you think you can do it for the next 6 months, 2 more meetings. But I also have another question. How about if that person that nominates themselves, can they go another round next year? Like once they, yes, sorry.
As I recall, I believe it's 2 cycles. You can be in the chair or vice chair role for 2 years, and then it moves on after that.
Thank you.
If I may, I'd like to nominate JC for vice chair.
I second that nomination.
We have to ask JC if he
sorry.
will accept
Do you
the
accept-
nomination.
My bad. So sorry.
Yes, I can accept.
I second that nomination. Anybody else? All right. All right, we'll call for the roll.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner House,
Yes.
Commissioner Banda,
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez,
Yes.
Commissioner Avellana.
Sure.
Motion passed.
Okay, we'll move on to the annual public art plan and fiscal year for 2025.
We actually have one more.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Item before that I'll go ahead and jump right into. The Salinas City Center Improvement Association has requested to install a series of decals for, as many of you probably remember back in your younger years playing hopscotch, right? So they have a request before the city to install this in the alleyway between 232 Main and 226 Main. It's really an opportunity to engage various residents as they come into downtown, create movement and fun. And so as part of your role as commissioners, you are to review those plans for arts that come before you. And they are currently in the process of working with Public Works on an encroachment permit process. So they too are looking at permits for this. And so that's our quick update. We do have Greg Hammer, who's here with Salinas City Center Improvement Association. He can answer any specific questions that you have, but we will need a motion to approve and to vote on this when you're ready. That concludes my presentation. Greg and I are happy to answer any questions.
So we have to,
So we will need a motion to approve. So this is a consideration item that takes action on behalf of the commission.
I have some questions involving the art. If that's, this art, these are the art pieces that are going to be posted on there?
Correct, yes. Is this on already? Okay.
And
I
these
know I
are,
speak loud already, but I just want to make sure.
okay, and these are, were these created by any artists, or they're just kind of printouts, or?
So we actually didn't realize this was subject to the Arts Commission. So we had this commissioned, or we asked our print provider to generate some images based on some of the thoughts that we had. We wanted something fun, something whimsical, something where kids, lots of color, just sort of bounce all over the place, and do something to that dark, or not dark, plain alley, right? I mean, this is also the location of where our other mural, or our main mural, is going to be installed, which is. We just found out it's not subject to the Historical Resource Board, so that's great. So we went ahead and we thought we could put stickers on the ground fairly easily. So we didn't necessarily request an artist to do this work. We went to to Monterey Signs and said, hey, can you make some appliques for us that we can stick on the ground? And it's certainly not a a heritage or a lifelong mural that's going to be up there. We're thinking that these stickers are going to last 6 months to a year, give or take, before they get kind of scuffed up, or one of them will get pulled up. And then once they start deteriorating it, we're just going to tell our maintenance crew to scrape them off because we don't want them to look bad. So it's a very short-term thing. We asked Monterey Signs again to create something for us quickly. And when we were in the process of the encroachment permit, we got a bounce back saying, by the way, this is subject to the Arts Commission because it's considered sidewalk art. And here we are.
Right on. I always encourage to activate, because it's really great that you're activating the space, because it's a space that needs activation, and
Right.
the more people we could get there, like, it helps. But also activating artists, some of these designs are fairly I mean,
They're
not
quite
too
generic.
Yeah, they're not too complicated or too complex. I think you can reach out to local artists and they would be able to help you with, taking this idea and maybe redesigning it. And that's just something that I always suggest. I always like to get the community involved as much as I can.
Absolutely, and this was kind of a quick build for us. We wanted to try it out. We wanted to see how easy we could do something like this, and so by asking the company to create these drafts, it was just a quick way for us to try it out. And of course, if we see a bunch of kids bouncing along the alley and it becomes a big draw, we have absolutely no problem getting an artist or a local artist to draw up some other plans, which if it's successful, if we see people doing it, you'll see me here before the commission again within a year with local artists drawing to do something very similar, or even more permanent. We can have, instead of stickers, we can make the whole walkway colorful, some sort of a large-scale ground mural, if you will. Maybe tie it into the existing murals that are there. But again, this was just a quick build for us, so we didn't anticipate having to do the Arts Commission.
Any questions or comments?
I have maybe some comments, but it sounds like a great opportunity, to engage people there, because that's an alley that is well transited. Like there's always a lot of people that go there. But is that the same place where Hijos del Sol is creating the mural?
That is correct.
Okay. So aesthetically, like I feel like, like the templates are not like the best. But I can see where you're coming from, right? Like I see, let's try this pilot, let's try see how it works, and then you can get some results. But I was thinking like want that, and then also, compared to whatever is gonna go in there, then there's gonna be this interaction, right? Of like arts, and then and also that perhaps. That this is something like a template that the city can use for other projects. And also my other question has to do whether this could fall in the same category or the same process where like it can be a mural on the floor and it has like the same process for maybe somebody that sees this and they said, I want to do this, like another artist and something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we did not tell, we did our, we're deviating a little bit from the scope, but the actual mural, remember the 4 designs that I presented to you guys a few months ago? The mural that everybody selected, the public process that we did, we ran it for about a month. It was, remember the whale with the deer on one of the sides? That was the one that everybody overwhelmingly picked. So once that is in place, once we go through the final process, because it's actually, it's in planning right now for a review to make sure that it doesn't have any bad images in it, I believe. That's the main reason why they do that. We can potentially come up with pulling those artists in and maybe doing something that matches that color scheme or matches some of the animals. Instead of hopping along the stars, you're hopping along turtles or something. I'm just speculating at this point, but having local input or local artist input on that would be very, very important, and something to be honest, we're looking forward to doing it. But yeah, by the time the mural is done, these stickers are probably going to wear off. So that's if it's within 6 months or a year, they'll be up for maybe a few months before it's time to yank them, and the mural will be in place. That's our timeline, I think.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea, and I think if there could be something set where this is a trial, but even if the stickers don't come off, maybe it's trying to get artists involved. There's a lot of arts organizations, like we've talked about before, in the community, and I'm sure any of the arts organization can get from a student to a teacher or an up-and-coming artist to help make some quick designs like this that isn't too complicated. But yeah, that's kind of more what I lean. I see that this is a tester just to see how it works out. But just keeping that in mind, if there's some way to include that and
Absolutely, that is great input. Yeah, we will definitely do that. For the future.
So you guys are just trying this firsthand, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
just
So
trying-
and this is actually, it is a privately funded, or not privately funded, it is funded through our nonprofit.
Yeah.
And Blue Zones is also wanting to join in with this simply because it's activity, and the Blue Zones office is right down the street, and they want to encourage people to do it as well. And so, once this is in, I don't see why we couldn't spread it out more. Or there's it's private property, but there's another pass-through on the other side of this location going towards Monterey Street, right? And then right on Midtown Lane, that's also private property. Potentially, we can talk to the owners there and say, hey, let's, and work with Artists Inc., of course, and work and do something fun there. So there's places to bounce back and forth. I personally wanted to put a hopscotch right there by Ariel because there was a boatload of kids there, but we wanted to focus on one mural, or I'm sorry, one sticker location at a time. So it's something. There's lots of opportunities to spread out these kind of images and just make downtown a fun place to be.
Well, obviously it's pretty generic, right? It's pretty, I don't even know if people would even engage with this. I think you guys should try harder.
Okay.
In my own opinion, I mean,
Sure.
there's plenty of artists, local artists, that you guys need to be engaged with.
Okay.
Not just trying something so easy and simple that it could be forgotten like real quickly.
For us, it was just low-hanging fruit. But yeah, absolutely,
Right.
we'll take that into account for
I
version
mean,
2.0.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry to say that, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not appealing to me or.
Sure.
Yeah, so, thank you.
any more comments or questions? Go ahead.
You hit it earlier, the color scheme. That was perfect, adding that to the idea. Actually, I missed one of these commission meetings because I was at another meeting where they're doing sidewalk in Salinas. I forget the Safe School, Walk to School.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with the specific
So
project.
in that one, the thermoplasting that they're going to be using for those specific sidewalks and this similar size, that's 5 to 10 years.
We're not using the thermoplastic.
Okay, so if we get to the point where we are using something nicer,
Yeah.
then
No,
let's
absolutely.
definitely involve artists.
Are you familiar with the Blue Zone arrow stickers that they have on the sidewalk?
Yeah, I've seen
on
those,
Main
yeah.
Street? That.
Okay, and then, because these are simply designed, I like the idea. I definitely would follow up with the idea of attaching the color scheme to Hijos del Sol's thing. If it is the whale one, the bubbles make sense.
Sure.
But definitely, I like the idea, but that's just me.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be a very short term.
I was wondering if there was something that can be put either in the proposal that you have or in your plan where you can stipulate that this is a test run, and if you were going to do it again, that you would definitely seek to incorporate local artists. Just so like that, because right now we're talking about it, but sometimes when we talk about it, it easily gets forgotten. And if it's put in the proposal, then we have something to reference back to and to look at and say, okay, this happened for 6 months. They're coming up again. You said that after 6 months you were going to try to get other artists. And that's something that if it's possible to do.
If I may, this will be recorded in the minutes, so it's an official record of the commission, so that dialogue will be recorded, and so certainly the next time Mr. Hammer comes before us, we can make sure
I
that
better
that's
have some
included.
local artists in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just to reiterate, this is temporary. So when you're ready, if we could get a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the temporary art installation by the Salinas City Center Improvement Association.
I second.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Call for the.
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner House,
Yes.
Commissioner Banda,
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez,
Yes.
Commissioner Avellana.
No.
Motion passed.
Thank you for your time.
Next up is Annual Public Art Plan Fiscal Year for 2025.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jose Arriola, Community Safety Administrator, here to present to you the fiscal year 25 Public Art Annual Plan. The Annual Plan Subcommittee consisted of Commissioners Carlos Cortez, Leah Bayana, and Taryn Eisman, who left in December but did participate in the very first meeting and helped laying the groundwork for the current plan that I'll be presenting today. And as you recall, the Public Art Plan is one of the key responsibilities of the Public Art Commission when it was created. And we need to have a draft plan to the City Council for their review and hopefully approval no later than April 1st of each year. And this will be for fiscal year 25, which begins in July of 2024. We met 3 times. Once in October, again in January, and most recently a week ago in February. So I'd like to thank the commissioners for taking their time. We met in the evenings generally on a Monday, much like our current Public Art Commission meetings are held. And I'd like to shout out Jessica Cerritos, here from Neighborhood Services Coordinator, who was an instrumental part of each of those meetings, helped keep our notes straight, and did a lot of work in between meetings to keep our ideas moving and alive, and to see the feasibility of the different projects, the very imaginative projects everybody had for these for the Annual Plan Subcommittee. So today we're presenting a draft to you for your discussion, your questions, and hopefully ultimately approval that we can then take to City Council next month. Some of the potential ideas the committee came up with include continuing the Public Art Events Grant opportunity that we've now had. If approved, this would be the 3rd year we did the Public Art Events Grant. There was an idea to take a look at the existing art that the city owns in the municipal art collection and develop a series of public art gallery exhibits across the city of Salinas. And then fund professional curation of that art and identify different locations where this art could be viewed by the public. Part of that would be conducting a maintenance survey of the municipal art collection. Much of it is in storage, but a lot of it is also currently exhibited in different city properties around Salinas that can be seen there. The collection has all over 100 pieces and very different types of art, everything from paintings to tapestry to sculptures. There's even a push cart in there. There's a lot of different things. And so we need to understand what we have there to be able to develop a show, and that does take some work. So an assessment of the art and some curation would be very important. We had to understand some very important questions. First of all, the current fund balance. Now, this was a question mark for us for a little while because prior to this fiscal year, the City Council had said at the dais during one of our meetings that they wanted not only to increase the municipal art fund from 0.5% allocation to 1% of the projects, the eligible construction projects, but they also wanted to, on top of that, have $100,000 allocated to the municipal art fund every year. We were under the impression that that would have began this fiscal year, the current fiscal year we are in. Unfortunately, that allocation did not get made. And so we're still working on making sure that those allocations are made in future years. But this is what's in the account right now. And so that's what we had to work with. So we had 2 sets of plans going at one time. One if there was $120,000 in there, and one if there were $20,000 in there. So we had to scale back the plan to the $20,000 plan. And I appreciate the flexibility of the committee as we dealt with both of those potential realities. Ultimately, the committee decided to request authorization not to exceed $15,000 of that $20,000 we currently have in the account. deciding to put $10,000 towards the Public Art Events Grant in Salinas by offering matching grants up to $5,000, and to make sure to prioritize new events or activities, or for existing events and activities to prioritize expanding those activities or doing something new with those events that currently isn't done, but not just to fund events that are currently happening. We said that there would be a match required, so that they're going to make sure that the organization is also putting some of their own funds into it, or have fundraised other funds. They can do that by doing in-kind match as well. So that means they can, if they have, for example, the manpower that they're putting in, the administrative duties, they can match that, or other investments they have towards that particular event can count as match. So it's not something they have to put an additional $5,000 into. And they can ask for as much as $5,000, but they could also ask for less. In total, we'd give out $10,000. So it could be a max as low as 2 actual grants going out for $5,000 each, or many grants at $1,000 each. It would just depend on the applications we received. There are public art policies that maintain that we should be doing a biennial maintenance survey of the municipal art collection to understand what condition the art is in, and to make sure that if any art is in need of maintenance, that we identify it so that we can do that. And so we've decided to set aside $5,000 for that biennial maintenance survey of the municipal art collection. And though we are supposed to do it every 2 years, I don't believe it's been done since 2017, when we had the creation of the commission. So immediate next steps would be for all of you to vote on the plan, to propose changes, make discussions, accept it as it is. Then we would go to, if you guys were to approve that plan, we can upload a council report very quickly, because we would essentially take what we have. If there were changes made, we might need a couple more days, so we couldn't do it as quickly as tomorrow. But then upload a council report for review, and then the plan would go to the city council in March for approval. And that would allow us to beat the April 1st deadline. We would, once the council approves the grant, we could then begin to release and promote the grant. And since we have a template for how this grant looks, the RFP would just need some updating with new dates and some finer tuning on the requirement for the type of impact we want the grant to have. And then we could begin to award the grant in July, because we'd really have to stick to the fiscal year for the award. So the awards would have to be given and expended all within the fiscal year, which would run from July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. This is the recommended motion, if you choose to approve, that you would be making tonight. And then I'd open it up for questions and discussions.
Any questions and comments from the commissioners?
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. I just would like to understand what happened with the $100,000 that I remember hearing from our council members that were allocated to the arts, to this arts commission. I know you mentioned briefly what happened, but I just still kind of have a hard time understanding what happened.
No, I understand, because I too had a hard time, so I had to really look into it. And the way it worked is staff wrote a report with recommendations, a staff report that went to council, which council approved but added to it. Unfortunately, when they added to it, they're not rewriting the staff report right then and there, so it's only in the minutes. And it really gets chalked up to a clerical error at that point. So the report then went to the city clerks for approval, and they sent that to finance. But the report itself didn't have any of what was said in the minutes in it. So the changes didn't get captured. There should have been staff to make sure that what was captured in the minutes got to the finance department, so that the change, that financial procedure was set into motion and the $100,000 was allocated. But it doesn't appear that that was done at that time. So because we sort of missed that window, we currently are still asking the question, and they're figuring out, but unless there's just $100,000 sort of unaccounted for, or that they could take from some other pot, we're not sure if that $100,000 will be put in. I'm not sure that it won't be either, but we have brought it to the attention, and we're working with the city clerk and the finance department to see what can be done. At the very least, we want to make sure that allocation is made in the next fiscal year. Anything you want to add, Director Lundquist?
Yeah, just the only other thing I want to clarify is there is a general fund appropriation that was done separately for $100,000, that there was a separate subcommittee that's working on that project, and that $100,000 is still intact. This would be just an additional general fund allocation on top of the municipal art fund on an annual basis.
So the second one, the second $100,000, what are the deadlines for, is that for this fiscal year or for the still in work in process?
Yeah, it's a current work in process. There's a subcommittee, and I think it's Commissioner Avellana and Cortez that are part of that process as well. And
Gonzalez.
And Commissioner Gonzalez. And so in the future, there will be a request that comes back to this commission when that proposal is flushed out for your review.
And that will be for this fiscal year or next fiscal year?
So that one is not under the same requirement to be within a fiscal year as the municipal art fund in the art plan itself. So we have that's why I'm not presenting on that tonight. We didn't force it. We're very close to having a presentation for you. The committee has worked very hard, as has Jessica Cerritos, on getting all the details for that presentation in our proposal to spend that $100,000. But thank you for clarifying, Director Lundquist, that there is that $100,000 that's still in play, but it's not part of the same municipal art fund allocation, and therefore it doesn't have to be part of the annual plan process.
I see. Okay, so everything is still under investigation. That's
Correct.
what I'm understanding. And because I remember seeing the video that's recorded, and
it's in the minutes. Yeah, it's recorded.
That's why I'm kind of having a hard time and understanding. But if it's still under investigation, I feel much better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your presentation, Jose. Just going back to the balance of 20,594 that we have. Out of those 20,000, we're gonna subtract the 5,000 that we are allocating for the biennial maintenance. And then, I think I did the math here. There'll be 15,594. And then out of those 15,000, then we also allocate 10,000 for this to support the new and existing cultural, yes? Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure that that's what it is.
Correct.
So then out of that, then we take out the 10,000, right? And then we left with 5,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, very good. And and then my other question has to do with the biennial maintenance. I'm the oldest one that's been in the commission since 2018, and I don't recall this maintenance. Maybe I did, but I don't remember if that was because we wanted to know what the city of Salinas has when it comes to art value of art that is housed in different locations in the city, including the Three Hats of Landing or something like that. Is that what these maintenance documents contain?
It's not an appraisal.
Okay.
That would be an appraisal, and we actually do have an appraisal in a list of we do have a list of art within its appraised value, at least most of it. There are a few items where I think it might be missing for one reason or another, but most of our art has been appraised, and it was all appraised in, I believe, 2017. And so there was a large effort at the time of the creation of the Public Art Master Plan and then this Public Art Commission. So this was actually, the maintenance is really about reviewing the state of the art that we have stored and on display to make sure that we are staying on top of the needs of the art and it's preserving it properly.
So after the maintenance, what kind of decisions are made based on that maintenance?
So I think, just to clarify, I think what this maintenance survey is to go through and assess the existing art pieces and determine what may or may not require any level of maintenance. And then that information would have to come back to this commission. And let's say we identify 5 pieces of art that need maintenance. That might be something you consider next annual plan, that you want to dedicate so much money to specifically maintain 2 or 3 pieces of art or whatever that may look like. So this is really to kind of do the evaluation and then have information for a future public art plan.
Kind of like an inventory?
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Who is conducting the survey?
We haven't identified a vendor yet. I have done some preliminary research, and there are not a lot of people who do this that I'm aware of, but we have reached out to a few to get some quotes, and we, just in our initial research, that's what helped us come up with the number of $5,000. It may be less, but there are some agencies that do this work.
And how many items are we talking about?
From what I saw on the list, we have over 100. I don't recall the exact number, but it's over 100 pieces. It's not more than 200, I know that.
Yeah, okay. Seems like, I don't know, the price seems like low. Like, I think might cost more money than that. That's why I was curious to know who will do this.
It may. I mean, we go out for numbers, and then people, I think, have to see what we have to give us a more accurate quote to know. I think it helps that most of that art is in one location, so makes it a little easier to do the assessing.
Yeah, I will suggest, I don't know, but maybe allocate more for this just in case the costs are higher than $5,000. Because where are they located, here in Salinas, or where are the storage right now, all those items?
They're in a storage facility. Not familiar with the exact location. I myself haven't been there before. I know Director Lundquist is familiar with the location.
Okay.
But it is here.
And we could, if at any point it comes back, and let's say it's $7,000, we could always come back to the commission to make a recommendation to council to release an additional $2,000 from the Municipal Art Fund to complete the project.
I was going to state about the $100,000 that's currently being kind of worked out. I know I said this before when Hammer was here, or Mr. Hammer, and it's always good to kind of write things down if possible, as to put it in the programs, because things like that will happen. Saying that the information got lost in the minutes, and it wasn't taken down and put into any type of paper or proposal. And so now we have to do like investigation. And so I'm always kind of a big fan of just writing things down just so it doesn't get lost. And so hopefully we can figure that out. And that's a comment on that. But I also had a question about the in-kind. If there's a way that we can inform people, because a lot of times when you hear the in-kind, people think that they have to have an equivalent amount of that money. So if I'm applying for $5,000, some people might think like, oh, I don't even have $5,000 yet. So just, I don't know if there's a way to either remove the in-kind or create a way where people can be informed of like what is acceptable in kind. Like, oh, I have X amount of volunteers and that equals X amount of money, and that would be an in-kind. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
You are. In the request for proposals, there is a list of examples of what in-kind is. It may not be exhaustive. I don't know if volunteer hours is listed there, but there are a variety of different kinds of in-kind that we name that would be low-hanging fruit for most organizations planning an event.
Any more questions or comments?
I do have, so I was just going back to the maintenance and all that art that is there. I mean, I'm not sure about whether like raising, more than 5,000 for the maintenance, because I really don't know how much they are priced. But I would like to support that the art that is out there, that the city owns, that is out, so people can see it, or places where people can go and there's an announcement saying, there's this some art, that's being collected, that was collected by the city and that people can actually see it. Like I would really champion that. And I think I mentioned in the past that Klaus Oldenburg already died a couple of years ago or something like that. And he left, the Three Hats of Landing from the 1980s. And there's only a few art installations like that in big cities. And we're not like a really big city. We're the biggest city in the Central Coast, but not like San Francisco where they already have something from Klaus Oldenburg. But I was recommending that we use the existing art that the city has to create opportunities for people to know about these art pieces. And over there by the rodeo of the Three Hats of Landing, and perhaps invite people to do art that relates to that type of art, And also, I'm not very familiar with what the city has, but maybe it could be another opportunity for the commissioners, to have access to this information and resources that we can look at, and also make best decisions. And this might not be related to that, but I think I also asked if we could meet more than 4 times and see that the public arts living document that we can look at to see where we are heading. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez, could I just clarify, are you asking if this commission can meet more than 4 times or the committees?
Yeah, I know the committees can meet more times because, there's work that's being done, but I was thinking more relating to the public arts document that we created several years ago, that perhaps not all the commissioners have looked at it. Maybe you already did. But I feel like that is like a living document that can guide us to, to look at what is in there that we're already doing, and, and what opportunities and challenges we have with getting involved more artists and more people, come up with flyers every time there's a commission meeting, so that way we can collectively share among us and among the community.
We can certainly give an update on the Public Art Master Plan at a future meeting.
Any more questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Is there a motion to receive the annual public plan and recommend City Council adopt the fiscal year 2025 public art plan, including the adoption of the $15,000 from the Municipal Art Fund?
I motion.
I second that motion. And a call for roll.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner House,
Yes.
Commissioner Banda,
Yes.
Commissioner Cortez,
Yes.
Commissioner Avellana.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Any commissioners have something to report? Starting with the commissioners on the left.
Thank you. I'm okay.
I'd like to second that idea of adding more meetings than just 4.
I just wanted to thank Christine and Mr. Arreola for the updates and continue leading or helping us to coordinate the arts in Salinas. I know we have been working on this for years, and we're going slowly but surely, so it's very nice to see you guys here today and welcome Mr. Banda to the commission. I think today is your first time, and on behalf of everybody here, we welcome. It's a fun group, and we really wanted to, everybody here in this committee have been very involved with the arts, and we want the best for our city, so thank you for being part of this commission. Welcome.
I'd also like to thank everybody that was involved, the whole team. And I'd like to encourage the public to show up to the Public Arts Commission meetings. It's important. that we hear from everybody in the community if possible. And we'd love to hear your voice. Also, support the local arts is very important. And I would like to also say that it would be great if we could meet more often, so like that we can help kind of steer the arts when needed. If it needs any type of I guess, help or support from the Arts Commission, we can be here to vote things in or just help guide whatever art projects are happening. I'll also welcome Commissioner Vanla.
I want to thank everybody for your presentations today. As I said, it is my first day here and trying to get up to speed, but I really appreciate all the details and all the questions that you answered. I look forward to seeing them progress. And thank you very much to the commission for having me. And I look forward to us doing some great things.
Yes, thank you and welcome. I just want to thank everyone, all the commissioners, for committing to be here today and having more productive work. I always hear from the community about what are we doing and what's happening with these projects going on. So I just want to make sure that I grew up in Salinas. I'm from Salinas, and I'm very proud. And art is everywhere. I want to see art everywhere, performance, music, and everything. And we all have different mediums. But I also want to encourage us to attend each other's event, attend other things that are going on, so that way there's more cohesiveness, like we know each other, but we also can have a lot of influence on what goes out there. And I do want to ask that there's some type of flyer that can come out every time we have a commissions meeting, because that way we can share among us. And then yeah, and then also like the thing about the meetings is because I feel that it's so little time that we only have besides the subcommittee meetings. So I was thinking that just looking at the living document, the master plan for another meeting, that could happen. And I hope that the city attorney help us navigate this as well. So that way there's more opportunity for people to experience art from Salinas and all different places from the city. Myself, with Urban Arts Collaborative, we are based in Chinatown in the Mid-Penn housing called the Moon Gate Plaza. It's a very challenging area, but I invite people to go and support the Asian Cultural Experience, which happens at the last Saturday in April. And myself is teaching a creative inquiry class every Wednesday from 5:30 to 7:30 every Wednesdays in Chinatown. But also like attend the first Fridays, every first Friday in downtown Salinas. And although I'm not in downtown, I always invite my students and myself to come and explore, and also to consider the other parts of Salinas, which is the Alisa, that is, well, a lot of people out there that we don't forget that part of Salinas that I encourage you to keep also investing over there. Thank you.
Director's report?
Yeah, just a couple of items. I've heard you all today about wanting additional meetings, and we will take a look at that. It will require a modification to the ordinance because currently the ordinance reflects quarterly meetings, but we will take a look at that. And then also, I believe you all received an email this morning from Devin with regard to the Form 700. So we want to make sure that you get that completed by April 1, I believe is the deadline. If you have any questions about that, please let Devin know and we can put you in touch with the city clerk. That's everything I have.
Thank you so much. Like I said before, I hope people can attend these public arts meetings and join us in our next meetings. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned. Do I need to hit this thing?
You can if you want.
Yeah.